Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. Now, I was not anticipating doing 3 videos today, but somebody has set off my nerd rage. That's right, folks. So, this first video is not about autism. It's not about the JRC. It's not about JD versus AH. This is purely a video based off of somebody pissed me off with their idiotic bull on one of these videos here and set off my comic book nerd rage. So let's go over the comment, and then we're going to go over the many reasons why it's stupid. So, this was quoted on YouTube. Basically, it's a video where Darkseid gets dragged off into the void by Trigon. And then, of course, as you know, as is usually inevitable bleh, with these videos, the Marvel versus DC always comes up. But this comment is absolutely just God. So, RLM, not the source, the one above all, is essentially Stan Lee, who ripped off Jack Kirby anyhow. Stan's a punk. Whatever. Really? And by the way, Thanos beat the one above all. Really? And became the new one. And Darkseid would rip Thanos apart. First of all, honey, that's literally not how anything works. Pick up a Marvel comic one time in your life, you arrogant little shit. But let's finish this up with more inaccurate information just to show how stupid this individual is in regards to the Marvel comic books and the Marvel franchise overall. She goes, LOL, you basically talk about the highest god in Marvel as the example of a Marvel being more powerful. That's a joke. Anyone can write that shit. I can simply pit him against the source. It's a lame argument to say the least. First of all, dumbass, Thanos is by far, not at all, the most powerful villain of the Marvel Universe. There are many characters in the Marvel Universe that are 1,000 times more powerful than Thanos. So already, your argument is complete shit. Number 2. When the hell did Thanos beat the one above all? Maybe there's something in the comics that I missed, but still. Thanos and Darkseid are considered on equal footing because they're both new gods. They have not yet in the Marvel franchise actually started to bring in some of the older gods, devils, what have you. I mean, for God's sake, we have Mephisto. But anyways, I decided to go ahead and pull this up here. And don't worry, folks, I am going to make sure to include this link in the description. And right there, he's freaking staring at you. The most obvious one in the Marvel Universe. Galactus, the Planet Eater. Just saying. But we've got a few more to go through. Okay. So, as the Marvel Cinematic Universe gets bigger by the day, the super franchise is branching out into the cosmos. We already know Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, shut up Zod, has some pretty impressive powers. Thanks, Samuel L. Jackson. But even she's small fry compared to some of the universe's other big names. We've already explored villains who might feature in Phase 4. Now let's get into the power politics. Josh Brolin's Thanos currently the most powerful character we've met yet. But expect that to change pretty soon. When you look at it, Thanos is effectively a big Homer Simpson with some glowy costume jewelry. Take away the Infinity Gauntlet and the Mad Titan isn't really that powerful at all. So who could replace the balding brute and become the most powerful character in the MCU? Here are 10 Marvel characters more powerful than Thanos we have not seen in the MCU yet. Number 1, Eternity. Up there with his siblings Oblivion, Affinity, and Death, Eternity is a supreme being who outshines the rest of the family. With a name like Eternity, you might have guessed he's been around since before time existed. Way older than Thanos or Darkseid, people. Taking on the tough job of leading the cosmic powers of the Marvel Universe, Eternity is a near omnipotent entity who means business. While some might argue Death is more powerful, let's also remember that Eternity easily defeated her. Representing the universe itself, Eternity controls all time and reality, effectively being two of Thanos' Infinity Stones at once. Number 2, Kronos. Like Thanos, Kronos was a titan in his younger years. These days he lurks in the cosmos between space-time continuum, often appearing as a giant humanoid so lesser beings can perceive him. Kronos atomized his own body during a catastrophic experiment gone wrong. Ironically, losing his physical form only made him stronger. As well as being the grandfather of Thanos, Kronos notably created the Drax, the Destroyer, to try and take out his wayward grandson. Kronos' intelligence outranks pretty much everyone, which comes in handy when he makes things happen simply by willing them into reality. If you need someone to kick Thanos into shape, his grandpa could be the perfect choice. Krytarak. The monster known as Krytarak is a force to be reckoned with, considering he is both a god and a demon. Originally worshipped on Earth, Krytarak was then banished to the Crimson Cosmos. While there, the Beetle-esque demon crafted some of the Marvel's universe's most powerful items, as well as providing Doctor Strange with the Crimson Bands of Krytarak. The Crimson Gem of Krytarak is what gives X-Men villain Juggernaut his power. Even Odin and Zeus have been powerless to stop the rampaging Krytarak. Given Krytarak's ties to Doctor Strange and the possible interrogation of Juggernaut into the MCU, he is surely on Marvel Studios' present Kevin Feige's radar somewhere. Onslaught. With Charles Xavier and Eric Leshner being two of the biggest names in the world of the X-Men and beyond, imagine what would happen if their personalities were combined into one entity. Enter Onslaught. When Professor X used his powers to knock Magneto into a coma, the metal-bending mutant's dark psyche fused with Xavier's and became a separate force of its own. Should you doubt Onslaught's powers, it's important to note that several members of the Avengers and the Fantastic Four had to sacrifice themselves, albeit temporarily, to defeat him. Even when he was confined to the negative zone, Onslaught managed to pull himself back into our universe. As more than just a villain of the X-Men, Onslaught could be a great foe to unite Xavier's gifted youngsters and the Avengers. Amatsu Mikaboshi. If the MCU is looking for more of that signature diversity, Phase 4 or the franchise's future plans could bring in Amatsu Mikaboshi to life. Adapted from Japanese mythology, Amatsu Mikaboshi is a pure nightmare fuel with his venom-esque appearance. Going under the moniker of the Japanese god of evil, Amatsu Mikaboshi has also earned the name of the Chaos King. Often butting heads with Thor, Amatsu Mikaboshi could potentially take on the god of thunder and his impressive arsenal of Asgardian weapons with his grass-cutter sword. Galactus. You might have heard the name Galactus by now, the first villain to unite the Marvel heroes against a common foe in the comics. Galactus is known for his power to consume planets in that ridiculous purple helmet. Since the early days of the MCU, fans have been keeping their eyes peeled for even a hint of Galactus. Although some think they may have spotted him in Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn assured us he's not been found yet. Commonly associated with the Fantastic Four, Galactus would be a likely candidate to take on Reed Richards and his team, then rule over the MCU's the next big bad after Thanos. Feige has already said how Galactus is one of his favorite Marvel baddies, and how he can't wait to bring him to life. Look out for Galactus once Disney finally settles on those Fox rights. The Beyonder. Fans of Spider-Man the Animated Series will remember how the Beyonder was instrumental in the Secret Wars storyline. In the comics, it was much of the same as the omnipotent being picked the best and the brightest of Marvel characters and pitched them against each other on the planet Battleworld. During his comic book history, the Beyonder has seen nearly everyone bow to him at some point. As well as taking on Eternity, Infinity, Death, and Oblivion, the Beyonder has also seen Galactus and even the Living Tribunal, more on this later, tremble in his presence. With the ability to morph reality to what he feels like, the Beyonder is much more than a guy in some silver spandex sporting an outdated haircut. Molecule World. Often compared to the Beyonder in terms of power, Molecule Man is thankfully a lot stronger than his B-list name. Molecule Man's impressive skill set means he can transform any matter into anything else. Imagine taking a nice deep lungful of air and it turning into glass. As well as being a living bomb ready to destroy the multiverse if he dies, Molecule Man has done some pretty cool stuff. His CV includes the honor of being the guy who disintegrated Captain America's shield, destroyed Thor's hammer, ripped apart Iron Man's armor, and turned the Silver Surfer's board into nothing. Not too shabby, eh? The Living Tribunal. The physical embodiment of the whole Marvel multiverse. The Living Tribunal has existed for as long as time itself. Hold up, guys, I'm sorry. Remember, no edit button. Okay, the physical embodiment of the whole Marvel Universe, the Living Tribunal has existed for as long as time itself, even with the might of the Infinity Gauntlet behind him. Thanos has refused to take on the Living Tribunal because he fears he would lose. Basically, a giant judge, the Living Tribunal stopped Eternity from killing Thanos and even decreed that the Infinity Stones should no longer be used together. Sure, it may look like a bit like a knockoff Oscar, but that doesn't mean the Living Tribunal should be scoffed at. That being said, even the Beyonder and Living Tribunal have to answer to someone. The one above all. When it comes down to it, the number one spot for Marvel's most powerful character has to go to the one above all. Responsible for creating the whole Marvel Universe, the one above all uses its omniscience, omnipresence, and omnipotence to lord it over everyone else. The one above all is the closest depiction of God as Marvel is ever going to have, which is ironic considering the one above all is reportedly a comic book representation of creators Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. With the pair being held as gods in their own right, it makes sense that the one above all is pretty big news in Marvel circles. It might not be hard to imagine how wide the one above all would enter the MCU, but knowing Phage, he'll find a way to honor Lee and Kirby's legacies. So, there you have it, folks. You literally have at least 10 characters that are far more powerful than Thanos, which makes that person's little freaking argument there complete bullshit. Complete bullshit. And where he gets that Thanos actually believed the one above all, I don't even know, dude. Stan Lee passed away. That's what happened. Okay? Not to mention, if it shows him turning to dust during Infinity Wars, guess what? If he's a one above all, he can create illusions. Can't believe I have to even say this. Anyways, if you are a DC fan, that is absolutely fine. But if you're going to get into arguments with a Marvel fan, do not make the mistake of thinking that Thanos is the ultimate biggie bad in all of Marvel. Pick up a comic or even Google it if you're confused. Alright, so that's all I got on this one, guys. Thank you for letting me rant. I've been holding that in for about an hour now. I will be back in a little bit. We are going to be going over the JRC. In the meantime, folks, we don't get a whole lot of views on this channel. A few views that we do get do tend to get removed, so please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, don't forget to hit the comments. Now, if you do like this kind of coverage from me and you don't mind me just digging in and just letting out a little bit of my nerd rage every once in a while, again, let me know in the comments and I'll definitely try to get more of this type of video on the channel for you. I do appreciate your time. I'll be seeing you in a few minutes. If I don't, I hope you all have a good one. Bye-bye.